Hello again. My name is Dr. Mcbride, and we will continue with risk management outline, crime scenes. Continuing to managing risk during a crime scene. Scenario one: the defendant came from another country illegally and was unsuccessful in finding gainful employment, a place to live, and a relationship. The defendant took contracted jobs with others, doing work such as landscaping, going back to homes whose gardens he worked in through the back window, which lock he broke after dark, knowing the person lived alone because he asked while working or watched the home. The purpose of that scenario is to prove the defendant knew which window would be unlocked or easy to enter because the assault was premeditated. Scientific method, observation, matching footprints. Matching footprints are found in the flower bed where people have been assaulted prior to. Ask a question. Did the resident hire a gardener or a landscaper? Form a testable explanation. The homes were invaded and the home was invaded and the resident was assaulted by an illegal undocumented worker. Test a prediction. The same footprints were found in a flower garden, and the person had been there before going into the home illegally. Reevaluate the observation, forming a testable explanation. The defendant likes to watch people who garden and spend a large amount of time stalking his prey. So that would be a reevaluation. Deductive reasoning to manage risk. Illegal migrants are people who spend a large amount of time in other countries adapting to social behavior of other country norms, including modern day slavery. The United States of America has been invaded by migrants, and the defendant has picked up the habits of modern day slavery, invading homes and committing assaults on people whom live in the residence. Inductive reasoning to manage risk. The defendant knew the homeowner was alone with money and after taking a contacted job, returned to the residence, entering illegally, assaulting the victim, and stealing items. Scenario two: the defendant goes walking or running in the neighborhood during the day, watching people in their home, stalking people he believes lives alone. After dark, the defendant enters the home and assaults the victims. The purpose of that scenario: to prove a lack of security in residential neighborhoods can lead to a high probability of habitual home invasions and assaults on a single person residences due to previous lack of immigration law enforcement. The scientific method to prove that scenario. Observation. The defendant attacks people in residential neighborhoods when he or she can blend in as a friendly neighbor from the area doing common day activities such as exercising. Ask a question. Were the victim's homes within the same amount of mileage or radius, proving the defendant stays in a close range to the victims, victimizing surrounding neighborhoods from where he or she lives? This was very important in the case against the illegal migrant who sexually assaulted and murdered a Georgia student victim or a student in Georgia at a university level and killed her. He murdered her. He stayed in a neighboring community or apartment complex that was on that trail. Now you want to form a testable explanation. The defendant lives in a building structure which appears as a residential neighborhood, making it an easy to target victims, including ones which could be unknown or considered cold cases. Test the explanation. The defendant has assaulted many people in surrounding areas from his or her home. Reevaluate the testable explanation. The defendant traveled by foot to the victim's home, blending in as a neighborhood resident, premeditatedly breaking into the victim's home to assault him or her. Deductive reasoning to manage risk. The defendant has a habit of stalking his prey, making sure he or she lives alone, attacking him or her in his or her own environment. violating the natural right of protection and hard work as a United States of American citizen whom worked providing his or her own shelter. The defendant does not only commit a home invasion and assault, the defendant burglarizes his victims while they are at home. Inductive reasoning to manage risk of scenario two. The defendant has been a person who commits habitual rape or sexual assault in various countries he or she has entered illegally. End of presentation. Enjoy your day.